You ever go camping or maybe to a trailhead and notice that half the parking lot is full of Subarus? Well, there's probably a good reason why. They make great adventure vehicles, or in this case, overlanding vehicles. So today, we're going to talk about why Subarus are the right choice for many overlanders. But before we get started, let's first talk about what overlanding is, because many people on the internet have it wrong. In my perspective, overlanding is a journey from point A to point B over an extended period of time. It could be on pavement, it could be on roads, or it could be on off-road trails. It really doesn't matter. The main point is you're going from point A to point B on a little bit of an adventure. And well, a lot of people like to associate these types of adventures with different brands. And I'm looking at you, Toyota. But in reality, Subarus do the same, or if not a better job than many others. You see, for many people, Subarus are just another car. They don't have anything special, and they obviously don't have any capabilities. But I can tell you, after owning multiple Subarus, that is far from the case. When people think of an off-road build, they typically think of something with a dual transfer gearbox, high payload capacity, a lift kit, and tons of gear. But let's be honest, for most overlanding trips, you don't need that. For a lot of people, overlanding doesn't mean going to do Whipsaw or the Mackenzie. It means getting out there and going on an epic adventure, whether that be just a basic Forest Service road or maybe even a couple overnight stops at some local campsites. It doesn't always mean you're climbing the tallest mountain or fording the deepest rivers. And that's where people really get it wrong on those Subaru's off-road capabilities. It's not going to be able to keep up with a truck on 40s, but Subarus are able to keep up with a lot of different builds. But of course, I'm not going to say Subarus are the perfect vehicle. They do have their perks, but really, every vehicle does. When you're overlanding a Subaru, you definitely have to be more weight conscious, thinking about all the gear that you're carrying. You can't just load up every spare part and every toolkit to make sure you're going to be able to get where you want to go. That also means being more careful with your food, water, and sleeping setups. And then obviously, with the space comes a weight constraints. You got to be more careful of what you're going to be putting in your car, because obviously it's not going to fit everything. Some of these Foresters and Outbacks have a little more room than a Crosstrek, but still, they're nothing like a full-size truck. And well, besides that, there isn't a lot more downsides. And before you guys start writing in the comment section about maintenance, head gasket issues, or something like that, I want you guys to evaluate what you're writing, because the amount of Subarus on the road, and personally, from seeing someone that spends a lot of time in the Subaru community, Subarus don't have any higher failure rate than any other car. Sure, if you're talking about a WX or an STI, and you're putting a ton of boost through it and you're not properly getting it tuned, of course it's gonna blow up. And that's where a lot of these misconceptions come from when we're talking about Subaru reliability. But this car is in fact a good case of what a naturally aspirated, well-maintained Subaru can do. I'm looking right now and I've got 420,000 kilometers on this thing, and it's showing no signs of stopping soon. And that's with everything we throw at it. So with that said, Subarus do actually make a great adventure and overlanding platform. And that's for, well, 3 key reasons that I've talked about on this channel before. The first one is the symmetrical all-wheel drive. It is actually impressively capable off-road. We've done some pretty crazy things and some pretty crazy trails, and the symmetrical all-wheel drive just keeps on kicking, especially once you get into loose and slip terrain and really let the symmetrical all-wheel drive take charge and put power where it can. The second reason is, well, ground clearance. Subarus have a pretty good ground clearance from factory, and it's pretty easy to modify them to add an easy 1-inch spacer to add a little more clearance, and will add a little bit beefier tire for your next adventure. And on top of all that, Subaru is actually aware of this, and they are building things like the Wilderness model that do have additional ground clearance to some of the more sporty orientated models. And then finally, I think one that we can all relate to, Subarus have great fuel economy. This is especially important for those long adventures where you're going A to B over a pretty good distance to explore some pretty epic terrain. You're going to have to be filling up maybe a few more times than your full size, but I can tell you, it's gonna cost nowhere near what a full-size truck would be, or even a Tacoma for that matter. So you see, despite Subaru's appearance, they are actually great adventure vehicles. And well, I'm not even just saying that. This Forester has had quite the experience. From the adventures we've taken it on when it was bone stock, to building it up, to what it is now. We've had some pretty epic adventures. And that kind of just goes to show that despite Subaru being a consumer-friendly car, it is also for the adventure enthusiasts. From our adventures on the beaches of Montana to conquering some of the Rocky Mountains, this Forester has been through it all. And that's not even the best part. The best part is getting to some of these trails and people ask you, how the heck did you get a Subaru up there? When I first got this car and started taking it off-road stock, I knew it was capable, but I truly didn't know exactly how capable it was. We were able to take it bone stock on some pretty interesting trails, and from there, explore some amazing places. And well, I'm sure I'm bound to get plenty of comments down below telling me how Subarus are not the best for overlanding. I can tell you wholeheartedly, after 4 years of taking this Subaru on adventures, that they definitely are. And to wrap things up, even though Subarus have a pretty timid experience, they are definitely a vehicle for your adventures. Not only are they fuel efficient, but they have great all-wheel drive while providing leading in-class ground clearance. They also make your adventures worthwhile. So down below, let me know if you would ever overland a Subaru or pick up one for your adventures. And if you are watching my channel and have been overlanding your Subaru for a while, let me know why you chose it in the first place. And while you're down there, don't forget to go ahead and check out, well, Flat 4 Off-Road for all your adventure Subaru needs here in Canada, as well as the channel memberships for some exclusive perks. And well, I'll be seeing you guys on the next adventure.